Warning, this one's a brain bender. In this video, we're talking about the biggest mysteries in history scientists still can't explain. The Voynich manuscript is a fat, vellum-bound puzzle from the 15th century that looks like someone built a book in an alien language and then illustrated it with impossible plans. Open it and you'll find pages of looping script that refuses to match any known tongue, diagrams of strange zodiac-like wheels, and botanical plates showing flora that botanists can't place. Radiocarbon dating pins the vellum to the early 1400s, which only deepens the problem. It's old, it's real, and it's unreadable. The mystery's procedure is the steady accumulation of failure. Cryptographers, linguists, and hobbyists have fed the text into statistical analysis, pattern searches, and brute force code breaking for a century, and the results are maddeningly ambiguous. Some see structure that hints at a language. Others say it's an elaborate cipher. A few argue it's an intentional hoax. Every proposed key opens a new disagreement rather than the book itself. Culturally, Voynich occupies that rare space between artifact and myth. Scholars treat it like a research project. The public treats it like a locked trunk full of secrets. The manuscript resists narrative. It gives you dates, ink, and plausible provenance, then slams the lid shut with an unreadable script. That stubborn silence is the point. Whatever it was meant to say, no one's earned the privilege of hearing it yet. Pyramids sit on the desert like questions carved in stone. Precise, massive, and maddeningly human. Giza's giants are the obvious headline. Limestone blocks weighing tons, aligned with surprising precision to cardinal points, laid in courses that still baffle casual measurement. How did a Bronze Age society move millions of stones, lift them into place, and maintain such accuracy without modern cranes or digital plans? That's the core problem. Engineering that looks both ingenious and underdocumented. Accounts of the procedure mix archaeology and theory. Excavations show organized labor, ramps of various designs, copper tools, and logistical records hinting at supply chains and workforce housing. Evidence against wild alien stories, yes, but not a full blueprint. Different teams propose straight ramps, spirals, internal mechanisms, or clever levering. Each model solves some issues and creates others. Experimental archaeology moves blocks and tests hypotheses, but scaling remains the rub. Small demonstrations don't always account for millions of blocks and centuries of alignment. Culturally, the pyramids are multifunctional. Tombs, statements of kingship, astronomical markers, and living propaganda. Their endurance fuels myth. If humans could build the pyramids, what else could they have known? That ambiguity invites everything from meticulous scholarship to conspiracy. The pyramids' real mystery is less who built them, and more how close were those builders to losing the recipe. The silence in the mortar keeps the debate alive. Cow's hum is less a monster and more a private, low-frequency itch that won't stop. Imagine living in a quiet New Mexico valley and hearing every now and then a distant diesel rumble that nobody else admits to hearing, except a scattered few. That's the hum, a persistent low bass noise reported by residents in Taos and a handful of other places worldwide. It's maddeningly local and maddeningly stubborn. Reports follow a similar procedure. Someone notices a noise, asks neighbors, finds half a dozen with the same complaint, and a dozen more who hear nothing. Scientists arrive with microphones and spectrum analyzers, set up equipment in bedrooms and orchards, and often record nothing conclusive. Medical teams screen sufferers for tinnitus, auditory processing issues, and stress. Some cases correlate with health or environment, others don't. Acoustic surveys sometimes pick up industrial or traffic sources, sometimes they don't. Culturally, the hum becomes a community glue and a fissure at once. Support groups form, local law grows, property values wobble, and conspiracy forums fill in the blanks. The experience is intimate. Late night keeping watch, neighbors trading theories, the sound becoming a symbol for being singled out by the world, whether it's geophysical noise, a collective psychosomatic echo, or something else entirely. The hum's cruelty is procedural. It teases definable data, then vanishes when you try to pin it down, leaving only the memory of a sound that may never be proven to exist. The Zodiac ciphers are part code, part dare. Cryptic puzzles sent to newspapers by a killer who loved the spotlight. He mailed taunting letters sprinkled with symbols and promises, including ciphers that he claimed would reveal his identity. The procedure was theatrical. A postcard here, a cipher there, deadlines and veiled threats. Newsrooms printed them, amateur sleuths and professional cryptanalysts pored over them, and the killer watched the public sweat. Some ciphers yielded meat. The 408-symbol cipher was cracked within days in 1969, revealing a gloating mix of bragging and mythology. Others resisted. The 340-character cipher, unsolved for 51 years, became an obsession. Hundreds of people running statistical analyses, frequency counts, and machine learning attempts. A breakthrough finally came in 2020 when researchers announced a partial solution, but key messages remain disputed, and some shorter ciphers still defy confident decoding. Beyond the symbols is the human procedure, victims, timelines, and a man who staged mystery as performance. The ciphers did more than hide a name. They amplified terror, forcing ordinary readers readers into the role of detective and giving the killer narratives to feed on. Even if every code were open tomorrow, the broader puzzle would stay: the identity, motive, and psychological shape of the Zodiac. But now the letters keep a taunting blank where answers should be, and that deliberate silence is part of the terror. In August 1977, a radio telescope at Ohio State University blinked at the sky and recorded a spike that made a volunteer scribble "wow" in the margins. A strong narrowband radio burst centered on the hydrogen line, lasting 72 seconds, coming from a patch of heavens with no obvious star to blame. The "wow" signal is a clean billboard-sized data point that refuses to be boring. Procedure is deliciously simple. Scan the sky, detect a burst far above background noise, check again, nothing. The Big Ear telescope's dual-feed design saw the signal in one beam but not the follow-up, which suggests a localized transient source. Astronomers checked catalogs, ruled out satellites, pulsars, and known radio sources, and still the number sat stubbornly unexplained. Over the years, people proposed comets, microwave leakage, alien origin, or a bizarre instrumental glitch. Each theory fits a corner of the evidence and fails elsewhere. Culturally, the wow signal is a lesson in constraint. A single clean anomaly ignites enormous inference. It's the closest clean whisper we have that isn't backed by repetition. The basic requirement for scientific confirmation. That fleeting 72-second note sits at the edge between hope and skepticism. Tantalizing, unrepeatable, and perfectly tailored to feed both dreams of contact and the sober patience of science. The sky gave us a hint, then shut up. We're still listening. The Bermuda Triangle is a patch of ocean where compasses wobble and stories of disappearance hang thicker than the humidity. Imagine a clear sky crossing, sudden radio static, a pilot's last terse transmission, and then nothing. Ship, plane, all gone as if swallowed by a clean hole in the map. That's the triangle's law. Vanishings clustered between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico that fueled magazines, books, and late-night speculation. Reports follow a pattern. A vessel or aircraft fails to arrive, search teams find no debris or bodies, and headlines invent patterns faster than investigators can test them. Popular explanations pile up: rogue waves, methane hydrates erupting from the seafloor, magnetic anomalies upsetting navigation, pilot error, and unpredictable weather. Many high-profile cases that fed the myth have plausible, prosaic causes once re-examined. Navigational mistakes, storms misjudged, or simple reporting errors blown into mystery by sensationalism. Scientists and the Coast Guard treat the region like any other busy stretch of ocean. Dense traffic plus hurricane-prone weather equals more accidents. But culturally, the triangle functions as a blank space monster, a place where maps politely admit ignorance and storytellers can paste a supernatural label. The real pull is narrative economy. One neat zone explains disparate tragedies. Even when data erases the paranormal gloss, the image of a charted hole in the world persists, comforting, frightening, and stubbornly resistant to being entirely mapped away. Roanoke is a disappearance that reads like a headline clipped from a nightmare. 115 colonists, including women and children, arrive in 1587. Within a few years, gone. Governor John White returns from a resupply trip to find the settlement deserted, houses dismantled, no bodies, and a single carved word on a palisade post: Croatoan. That word is the ghost at the center of every theory. The procedural trail is maddeningly tidy and maddeningly empty. There are clues: a cleared fort, carved letters, reports of smoke seen on nearby islands, but no smoking gun. Did they relocate to Croatoan Island, modern Hatteras, and integrate with local tribes? Were they abducted, killed in a raid, or wiped out by disease and starvation? Archaeology has turned up hints: European artifacts at coastal native sites, post holes matching English layouts, but nothing that conclusively names a fate or maps a final mark. Culturally, Roanoke became a Rorschach. Early English propaganda about failed colonization, later American origin myth fodder, and a refuge for speculative scenarios from assassination to secret evacuation. The procedural gap, well-documented departure, inexplicable absence, and a single cryptic carving lets every theory lean on imagination. That carved word is a conversation starter that never finished its sentence. For centuries, people have mapped possibilities over that blank spot. Colony silence still feels deliberate, like someone left a note and walked off into a history that refuses to answer. The Nazca lines are giant drawings scratched into the Peruvian desert. Birds, monkeys, spiders, and long straight lines so perfectly laid out they look designed for an audience in the sky. From ground level, they're barely visible. From above, they resolve into enormous, deliberate figures etched across a plateau that hasn't changed much for 1,000 years. That scale is the core puzzle. Why make art meant to be seen from a vantage few people could access before aircraft? Procedure here is both simple and spectacular. The Nazca removed the dark, iron-rich surface stones to reveal lighter earth beneath beneath, creating high contrast lines that survive because the desert is hyper-arid and wind-still. Creating the giant figures required planning, grids, stakes, sight lines, and communal labor, but the why is slippery. Theories range from astronomical calendars and ritual pathways to water-related rites, processional lines leading to springs, and offerings to gods. Each hypothesis fits some geoglyphs and not others. The line's variety resists a single explanation. Culturally, the Nazca play the role of deliberate mystery, engineering without a clear social record, art that demands interpretation. They're a message with an uncertain audience, devotional map, agricultural protocol, or giant prayer. Until someone finds a Nazca voice that reads these marks, the plateau remains a silent auditorium where humans long ago staged something enormous and left us the